Here we go. Here we go. It's time. It's time. Right. So, anyone that's been following my Formula One 1983 season in Autumn and Blister 2, I have a couple of weeks ago finished the season and we did pretty well. Was it fifth? Fourth? Yes, so now it's going to be the F1 1984 season is going to be upon us very soon. So, all exciting stuff. So, this is a quick stream basically for some negotiations for next season, the season of 1984 that's almost upon us. So yeah, so we're going to negotiate with. We've got 12 teams that potentially we can be with next season. Apparently, there we go to negotiate with. Hello, Tanker Steps. Yes, so 12 teams. Uh, well, one of which we were with last year with Arrows, so they may well offer us again a continuation of the contract, but we're obviously going to be after looking around for some possible new contracts for maybe potentially bigger teams. So yeah, so 1984, the team decider. This is my software made by myself, and yeah, so here we go. So it's only a short stream, as I say. Before we get ready and gear up to see who we're going to be with next season in the 1984 season. Um, and then we can get on with testing. Um, I'm hoping we're going to get at least maybe 3 or 4 or 5 even contracts, possible contracts, and then we can go away and decide who we're going to be with. So yeah, so what we're going to do is we've got the names of the teams you can see on the screen there: McLaren, Ferrari, Lotus, Brabham, Renault, Williams, Tolman, Ligier, Arrows, Spirit, Ram, and Tyrrell. And we're going to negotiate with the CEO principal of that team principal for that team, and see if we can negotiate a drive. And we'll see what they offer us or not offer us at the end of the negotiations. Each negotiation only takes maybe 10 seconds or something like that, I think, maybe a bit longer. Yeah, so there we do. So we're going to start at the top. We're going to try with McLaren first of all to see if we can get a drive McLaren. It's obviously built into the software that it's harder to get a drive with the bigger teams. Slightly harder. So the chances are we may not get a drive with one of the bigger teams, but we may be offered some of the bigger teams may offer us a contract. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. So I think it'll be self-explanatory as we go through, but we'll be starting with McLaren, going down to Tyrrell, and we may well be at the end of the day may well have 2, 3, 4, 5 contracts to decide on to decide what team we're going to drive for. Obviously, if we get only one contract offer, then well, we haven't really got much to decide. But we should get more than that. So let's see how we get on. And first of all, we're going to start with McLaren. So this is obviously of 1984. Some people may know the team principles, some you may not. Obviously, McLaren, they 1984. They would have had Ron Dennis in charge. A lot of people remember Ron Dennis. I think he was from was it the late 70s, maybe the very early 80s through to around 2009. I think he stepped down. Um, uh, Potentially taken over by Martin. Was it Martin Whitmarsh and a few other guys? But yeah, so he was at the helm for lots of years. So I believe, yeah, I think he was in charge in 84 definitely. So he's the first person we're going to negotiate. Hard man to negotiate with possibly, but then again, Brabham's got Bernie Eccleston, so we've got a few tough guys to try and get a drive with. So yeah, without further ado, let's see if this software works. Fingers crossed. Um, you'll see something floating around the screen saying we're going to be possibly have a contract or not contract, and that's the negotiations. Let's go for it anyway. You'll see what happens. So first we're going to try and get a contract with McLaren. Here we go. There we go. So McLaren. So it says in talks with Ron Dennis, who's the team principal. You can see the little dollar sign, and that's basically we're going to hover over non-contract or contract. It's all built in the software to maybe 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. I don't know quite for sure. But basically, it's not looking good at the moment. possibly McLaren, not for us, but we'll see. We're hoping if it flies off to the right more, we'll have a chance of a contract or some sort of contract with them. But at the moment, it's not looking promising. Yeah, doesn't look promising for McLaren at the moment, but you never know. We're going to try and talk nicely to Ron and see if he's going to offer us something. Of course, we've got 12 chances to get a drive, and we may be offered half of them. Half of them might offer us contracts. And then so no, you can see on there McLaren contract not offered. So there we go. To be honest, it wasn't unexpected. It's going to be tough to get in McLaren. They're already pretty much. It's looking very much like they've got Alain Prost, who's moved from Renault, and it's pretty much confirmed that it's Nicky Lauda as well. So it's probably going to be Prost and Lauda. So I thought I'd probably only get like a third driver or like a test driver role, to be honest, in the team. But not even that. Didn't get anything offered. Let's go to Ferrari and see what they can offer us. Okay. Here we go. Cesare Fiorio he was the team principal in 1984. We're going to see if we can get something with Ferrari for 1984. At the moment, it's looking a little bit promising. So yeah, it's looking promising. He likes us. Oh, it's a good chance of getting a Ferrari drive. Wow. Oh, hang on a minute though. You never know. The Italians are a bit temperamental. Oh, there we go. Wow. Okay. So that's a bit of a surprise. So Ferrari have actually offered us a contract. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what we get on with that. But that's a good offer. So that's the first offer on the table with Ferrari. So we'll go ahead and see what else. We're going to have now talks at Lotus. We're in talks with Peter War at Lotus, who's going to be essentially giving us an interview, job interview for a potential drive. So here we go, contract, non-contract. Let's see what happens with this one. So a bit of a shock actually. I'm not a shock with McLaren. They didn't offer me a contract. So fair enough. Ron's got Prost and Lauda at the helmet. Looks like pretty much dead on for next season anyway. So, but Ferrari was a bit of a shock to be honest with us. So we'll see how we get on. I know they've had talks. I know that Ferrari have had talks with both Arnoux and Alboreto for an 84, and now they've offered me as well a drive. So I don't know how that's going to fit in. I don't know if they have three teams or what. But anyway, Lotus is not potentially looking promising with Lotus. Last season they had Nigel Mansell and Elio De Angelis, so they may not want to split up that partnership. Although it's almost looking like 50-50 maybe. Ooh, 50-50. Hang on a minute. Ooh, okay. So potentially something maybe. It's really 50-50 this one. Hanging in the balance. What's it going to be? This must be near the end of the meeting. Oh, and now it's swung the other way. He likes us, I think. Okay, let's have a look. It's going to be very soon. It's looking very promising for a potential move to Lotus, I think. Yeah, so far it's Ferrari and Lotus showing an interest. Oh, it's 50-50 though. It could be. It's very much 50-50. Oh, it's going the other way now. Let's see what happens. Probably towards the end of the meeting now. Looks like talks have broken down a little bit, unfortunately. No. So no contract offer. So far we've got no contract offer from McLaren or Lotus, but Ferrari have offered us a contract. So at least we've got a potential something to fall back on. Not even fall back on. It's quite a big team, so that's a good potential drive for us. Obviously we'll see how we get on. Now we're going to go to Brabham. So that's Bernie, isn't it? We'll have to see. So yeah, in talks with Bernie Ecclestone at Brabham. Here we go. Let's see what he has to say. He might like me. He might not. So last season we had We had Nelson Piquet, who won the championship. He's obviously their number one driver, and they've offered us. Oh wow, okay, so they've offered us a drive. That's amazing. That was quite quick with Bernie. Good job. So what we had was we had Patrese going from 83. So Patrese has gone to another team. We're not sure exactly who yet, but he's actually left Brabham end of 1983. There's talk about Teo Farby, and they're definitely keeping Nelson Piquet. So they've offered me one, so there's a good chance that if I take the drive, I may well take Teo Farby's job, potentially his drive. So we'll have to see what happens there. But they've offered it to me, so that's good. Right. So far on the table, we've got two contracts so far to choose from. Ferrari and Brabham. Let's go on to Renault. Okay, talks with Jean Sage of Renault. Okay, apparently he was the guy doing the contracts in 1984. Here we go. So let's see how we get on with Renault. Another big works team. Quite a big team. Pretty much 50-50 at the moment. We haven't not looking incredibly promising at the moment, but I'm still really happy with the two contracts that have been on the table so far. Two big contracts, that of Ferrari and of Brabham. So nothing offered there from Renault. Let's move on to Williams. That's Frank Williams, is the team principal, as you all well know. Was in 1984, up until only about 5 years ago, wasn't it? So here we go. Contract talks with Frank Williams at Williams. So last season, Frank Williams had the two drivers that Frank Williams had employed were Keke Rosberg, the 1982 world champion, and Jacques Laffite, the Frenchman, was the in effect number two driver. I'd say it's fair enough to say that. I think, even though a lot of these teams would say they're equal number one status. So yeah, so it's looking quite good for Williams at the moment. Potentially a contract on the table for Williams as well. So I think I did quite well last season. I had a few good results, and that's helped build up my reputation. So I'm probably get offered slightly more than I would do if I had a bad season. So there we go. Frank Williams, as well as Bernie and Cesare Fiore, as all three of them have offered me potential drives with Ferrari, Brabham, or Williams so far. Wow, this is going well. Let's go to Tolman. Ted Tolman at the Tolman team. Now then, this could be an interesting one because last season the Tolman team were quite small, had a fairly small budget. I believe they've had a little bit of an injection of cash, not a massive amount, but they have attracted the attention of a few drivers. Okay, then they've offered me a drive. That's interesting because we've got, I believe there's Ayrton Senna joining the Tolman team for next season. So if I've been offered a contract there, so if I chose to drive for Tolman, I will be together with Ayrton Senna in the Tolman. So that'll be interesting. Let's go to Ligier, Guy Ligier, for some contract talks with Ligier. See if they offer. Chances are that more of the lower teams may offer me the contract, but obviously I'm going to be more interested in. I really do. I feel as though I want to try out a car that's got a turbo this season. I drove the Arrows, which last season didn't have a turbo, but I believe they're trying to make a turbo for this season. So there's also the possibility. I think it's Ligier. I think it's Arrows next. Possibility of. I have to speak to Jackie Oliver, obviously in talks with Arrows next. So here we go. Wasn't offered anything by Guy Ligier. So let's move straight ahead to speak to Jackie Oliver. Now, Arrows I was with last season. Okay, so they may well offer to carry on my contract, basically to renew my contract with Arrows. Now it is interesting because if they would have stayed with a non-aspirated car, basically effectively not a turbo, I'll be declined to go elsewhere. But apparently, here we go. It's looking very good. Um, Potentially they're going to have a turbo for next season, so that is a there we go. So Arrows have offered a contract as well. So now we've got Ferrari, Brabham, Williams, and Tolman and Arrows. We've got 3 left to go: Spirit, Ram, and Tyrrell. Let's speak with John Wickham at Spirit. Let's see. Last season, Spirit had just one car, I believe. Yes, they just had one car. I think was it Stefan Johansson in the Spirit Honda with the Honda engine there. So wow, okay, so they've offered me a contract as well. So as I say, there was a good chance the lower teams would possibly potentially offer me a contract. Let's go to Ram, speak to Mike Ralph at the Ram team to see if they offer me a contract as well. It's highly feasible the rest may offer me a contract because they are lower ranked teams, and I did well last season. As I say, which helped my increase my potential popularity, interested in me because I can possibly get the job done even in a slower, possibly potentially inferior machinery. I wouldn't tell these that they've got inferior machinery, but you know they're not exactly a McLaren or a Ferrari, are they? So I believe that Jonathan Palmer may be in line for the one of the Ram seats. I've been checking up on that for 1984, so we'll have to see. Not sure about the other driver. Maybe but Manfred Winkelhock, someone like that. But we've got there's a few possibilities. Apparently, the Ram have got having talks with. So, but it's looking potentially good for me as well for Ram. So they may well offer me a contract as well. Okay, so we're getting lots of contract offers. Chiefly, I think more than not, as I say again, due to how well I did in a fair amount of races with a fairly inferior car last season, I think. So let's go. The last one is Ken Tyrrell. So see if we can get a drive with Tyrrell. Okay, so Tyrrell. Um, so last season, we spoke about Tolman, and Ted Tolman has managed to obtain Ayrton Senna for the first season in his Formula One career, and potentially prosperous. We'll have to see. And Senna won the British Formula 3 Championship in 1983 and just pipped Martin Brundle to the title. Now, Martin Brundle also is potentially going to be joining the series Formula One 1984 as well, and I think he's been in talks with Ken Tyrrell, so he may well be driving for Tyrrell this season. There's been talks with a few guys. I think also Stefan Beloff possibly in the running as well. And let's see, looks like Tyrrell are quite interested in myself, so that's another potential drive. Maybe we'll have to see how this goes. Ken Tyrrell. I think he was, he was a hard man but fair, I believe, back in the day. So let's see here. This is the last one now, and then we'll get all the information together. I'll have to go away and have a look potentially to see who I'm going to drive for 1984. Okay, so it's 50-50 at the moment with Ken Tyrrell at the moment, whether he offers me a drive or not. Okay, let's have a look here. Coming to the end of the meeting with Ken. As I say, I think it's pretty certain that the last season's British Formula 3 runner-up to the championship, Martin Brundle, will be driving for Tyrrell next season. Just not 100% sure about the second driver as yet. Okay, so it's looking good for Tyrrell as well. So looks like Ken wants potentially me to drive for them as well. So yeah, okay, there we go. So we've got a list of all of the potential contracts now, and I must admit there's a few more than I thought there'd be, especially with some of the bigger teams. I thought I'd really struggle to possibly get one of the bigger fish, bigger manufacturers, but I can't believe it. So okay, so the last four, we go from the bottom up. So Tyrrell, Ram, Spirit, and Arrows. Okay, so last season they were all normally aspirated cars. I think, the Spirit had the Honda though, maybe not, but they're all lower ranked teams anyway. Arrows, I was with last season. Okay, so potential of going with arrows. They staying with arrows. Apparently, Jackie Oliver says that he's looking very likely that they're going to get turbo engines for 1984. So we'll have to see what happens there. Going up the list, Ligier didn't offer me a contract. Ted Tolman at the Tolman team offered me a contract. That's another possibility. Definitely got Senna in for next season, so that would be possibly a potential Senna and Summers partnership there for next season. I have to have a think about that one, see how that's going to go. Um, right now, the bigger teams. So out of the six bigger teams there, I would definitely say six of the six biggest teams. Um, three of them didn't offer me a contract, and three of them did. So there was no contract from McLaren. Ron Dennis wasn't. He's perfectly happy with Prost and Lauda, I believe. I think they're pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered for the 1984 season. Lotus, I believe they're probably going to keep Mansell and De Angelis now, as they didn't offer me anything. And Renault didn't offer me anything as well. Jean Sage didn't offer me anything, so I don't know what they're going to do next season because they're obviously Prost has gone, and uh, we'll have to see what happens. There are talks. I think actually Derek Warwick may be driving for Renault, moving from the um, where was he? Was he in the Tolman last year, wasn't he? So we'll have to see what happens there. So the three big teams I could potentially go with as well are um, Brabham, Ferrari, and Williams. Okay, so yes, Jesse Ferrario, Bernie Eccleston, and Mr. Frank Williams. Those three team principals offered me a potential contract. So we'll have to go away and think about that. So uh, possibly likely to be one of the big three. I may well potentially be turning down the new contract offer from Jackie Oliver at Arrows and possibly go with one of the big teams, the big turbo teams. So we'll have to see. So yeah, so I'm going to go away and have a good think about it, and you will know very soon. So thanks for everyone popping along to this interesting stream where I'll find out potential offers, and I've actually found them out. You got them on the screen there. So yes, so I'll see you all next time, and yes, see you for the 1984 season. So I believe it's potentially going to be starting potentially in 2 weeks' time. So yes, see me for the start of the 1984 F1 season.